Good evening again, everyone. My name is John Castelluccio. I'm an editor at the Salem News. We are co-hosting this debate for the candidates for City Council at Large with the Peabody Area Chamber of Commerce in partnership with Peabody Access. And just take a minute to introduce our panelists. We have Deanne Healey, who's the president and CEO of the chamber. We have Pesce, who's the vice president of North Shore Bank and a Peabody resident. And then we have Robin O'Donnell, who's a realtor with Keller Williams and a Peabody resident. And then we have our candidates. Just going to start with Tom here in the end and just ask them to take a minute to introduce themselves, just give us a brief snapshot of who they are, and we'll go down the line. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much to the Salem News, PAT, Dee Healey, Pesce, and Robin O'Donnell. Thank you, and thank you to my fellow candidates. My name is Tom Gould. I'm a current City Councilor at Large. I'm married to Sharon Spiliotis for 35 years. I'm the father of Courtney Healey and Michael Gould, the father-in-law of Greg Healey and grandfather of Quinn Healey, lovely Quinn Healey. I'm a Northeastern University manufacturing engineering grad. I had a 22-year career at General Electric prior to buying Treadwell's ice cream in 2000. Some of my accomplishments, I like to think of as accomplishments. I'm the founder and director of Peabody Challenger Sports Program, helping special needs kids in their pursuit of sports. I'm the vice chair of Peabody Ed Foundation, the co-chair of Peabody Disabilities Commission, member of the Higgins Building School Committee, and co-chair of Peabody Main Streets.
Thank you, Tom.
And I will cut off there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, John, thank you. Thank you to the panel, Deanne, Chris, Robin. My name is Tom Rossigno. I am fourth generation Peabody. I am married. My wife, Robin, maiden name is Donovan from Lynn. We have two children. I have a 21-year-old daughter who is a junior in college studying education. I have a 17-year-old junior at Peabody High School who her passion is athletics. I've been on the school board for 8 years, two-time vice chairman past. I've been on the open space committee for the city. I have helped Tom with Challenger at times when my schedule allows, which is a fantastic program, by the way. I got into this 8 years ago when my kids were 12 and 8. And the reason getting into the political arena wasn't because I wanted anything to do with politics, to be perfectly honest with you. It's because I wanted to make a difference in my kids' education.
You're going to have to cut you off there, Tom, and keep moving.
So just to finish, my reason for running for city council is to continue to try to make a difference. Thank you.
Go ahead, Russ.
My name's Russell Donovan. I've been living in Peabody for about 40 years now. I live with my wife, Donna. We have 3 grown children who are out of house, so it's almost an empty nest. But I'm recently a new grandfather of a baby boy, and his name is Donovan. But I've always been interested in Peabody. For the last 40 years I've been here, I've been involved and concerned with what's going on in the city, both from an environmental standpoint back in the 80s when we had problems with SESD and the pollution from the tanneries. But more involved nowadays as a senior citizen, taxes are a #1 problem, issue for the seniors. We talk about increased values in properties, but it comes down to a limited income and how you're going to pay the bills. I'm a graduate of Northeastern, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. I worked for 40 years at General Electric Company, and I retired here to raise my family. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephen Collins. I'm 26 years old. I've been in Peabody for 20 years, since '97, so I'm on my halfway mark to the 40 years as Mr. Donovan here. And I'm a graduate of Syracuse University. I'm also a graduate of St. John's. I studied public policy at Syracuse and minor in strategic management, so I'm looking to bring both of those experiences to the City Council. I've been involved in Peabody for a very long time in many different aspects. I've worked for the city, I've been a student in the city, I've been an athlete in the city, and I'm still a current advocate for youth programming as the head coach for the 5th and 6th grade football team in the city as well. So I'm looking to bring all these experiences that I've had in my life at Peabody to the City Council. I've always found myself in leadership roles and doing what I can to make people's lives better, and that's truly the reason why I'm running. So, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Salem News. I almost called you Salem Evening News. That's how long I've been around. The Salem News, the Chamber, and PATV, and John, for you for moderating tonight. My name is Ann Manning Martin, and I have been on the City Council now for 10 years, and prior to that, I was on the school committee for 8, and I'm humbly asking for your consideration, voters, to return me to the City Council. I'm number 3 on the ballot, and I ask you to send me back to the council because I love what I do. I love being an independent voice on the council. I love knowing that I work for you, the voters, and representing your voice on the council. And I have a quick background. I have a bachelor's degree from St. Anselm College, a master's degree from UMass Lowell. I have 25 years in public safety. Currently, I'm a deputy superintendent with the Department of Correction. And again, I just do this work because I love doing this work. I have a reputation of doing my homework and being an independent voice. And again, I ask you for your consideration to return me to that role. And I'll continue to do that hard work for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Go ahead, Peter.
My name is Peter Bakula. I want to thank you both for having us tonight. I'm a lifelong resident of the city, graduate of Peabody High School, graduate of Salem State College with a degree in professional writing. I was a political science minor. I currently serve on the Rent Control Board and am an elected member of my Cooperative Communities Executive Board. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time. And when the opportunity presented itself in 2013 when I changed occupation, I decided to run for office. And I've been a candidate ever since. When I had the chance to finally fulfill basically a childhood dream of serving and improving and making the city an even better place than I found it, I jumped at the chance. So I can kindly ask the voters to consider me as one of their 5 votes on November 7th. I'm number 6 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Salem News, Peabody Chamber of Commerce, and Peabody Access TV for the opportunity to be here tonight. And for those in the audience and at home, my name is Ryan Melville, and I am very excited to be here tonight. Running and serving the city of Peabody is something I wanted to do because of all the opportunities that I received from this great city. I love the city of Peabody, and that's why I'm running. I graduated from Peabody High School in 2004. I was fortunate enough to receive the O'Keefe Scholarship, which is a full academic scholarship to UMass Amherst that a Peabody High School student receives upon graduation. At the conclusion of my graduation from UMass Amherst, I enlisted in the United States military. I served in Afghanistan in 2011 as an infantryman. Upon returning home, I began a career with the Mass State Treasury as the director of the Welcome Home Bonus Program, working with veterans and veteran advocates across the state. And since 2014, I've been the supervisor of licensing for the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission. So I work with cities and towns throughout the Commonwealth on a daily basis. And I try to be a sponge to bring in all the good ideas, and that's one reason why I want to come back to Peabody, so I can bring that back down to the council. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, everyone. And now we're going to start with the questions. Start with Robin. And everyone is going to have a chance to answer the same question.
Good evening. In your respective campaigns and news coverage so far, much priority has been given to keeping taxes stable and/or low in Peabody. Are there alternative revenue sources that the city should be looking at, or does spending need to be more closely scrutinized?
Thank you, Robin. And we're going to start with Tom on the end, but in the subsequent question, we will sort of alternate who gets to start. But
Sure.
Go ahead, Tom.
Robin, I had trouble hearing the very last comment, please.
Just, should the spending be scrutinized more closely?
Thank you. I have been a big proponent of the mayor's agenda to move the city forward. In part of that, unfortunately, is we have to raise taxes to be continuing to do the right thing for the city of Peabody and its citizens. We built the state-of-the-art middle school, and we are moving forward on our facilities. Unfortunately, that means that we have to bear the tax burden that goes with it, but the average tax bill has only gone up between $150 and $200 a year as far as I can recall. What I'd like to see us do is continue to develop the downtown. I'm on a couple of commissions that the Main Street Commission and the Downtown Economic Development Commission, trying to help bring business downtown. And I think it's going to show its fruit. We're building a black box theater, of which I'm the chair of, and there'll be some good things going on in Peabody. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, John. It's always a balancing act as far as taxes go. You want to invest in your community, but you want to make sure you maintain a stable tax base. You want to improve schools, you want to do projects like Crystal Lake, but you don't want taxes to go up. So it's a fine line between doing what needs to be done in the city, improving aging infrastructure, improving the quality of life for our citizens, but always maintaining a stable tax base. So there are other funding sources. For instance, with Crystal Lake, that's a fantastic project. They also got money from the state as well as from community preservation money. So there are other alternative revenue sources if you go out and find them, whether they're grants, whether they're state funding, whether they're federal programs. But it is a constant battle to make sure that you're maintaining quality of life and continuing to maintain safety, and as well as continuing to improve education, but maintaining a stable tax base.
Thank you, Tom. Russ?
The city has a spending problem. When you look at the income of properties and you look at how properties are taxed, right now the burden is being shifted to the homeowner, while commercial values have been stabilized or dropping. The burden of taxation actually goes to the homeowner because homeowners are taxed on a market approach. Right now, the market for family homes, single-family homes, is no longer a local market. It is a national market. It's an international market because we have investors buying up single-family homes. We have other foreigners buying up single-family homes. It's not a local market anymore, so the valuations of the homes are going up, and the incomes of the Peabody families are not. We have alternate income sources. One of the methods that came up a number of years ago at the City Council meeting on taxation was to shift the burden to the businesses by raising the tax classification factor. The other one is, at that time, we were talking about taxing the excise tax on boats, and right now the city does not tax the
Thanks, Russ. We're
boats.
going to have to, we're out of time. We're going to move on to the next one. Thank you. Go ahead, Steve.
So I think everybody realizes that taxes is a big challenge and issue area for the city of Peabody. I mean, in just a little bit of research that I did, in the past 10 years, taxes have gone up at a rate of 33.5%, or excuse me, 31.5%. So, I mean, Peabody's taxes continuously increase, and I do think that there's potential solutions for helping to stabilize the tax rate. There's plenty of open storefronts in the downtown area. There's 7 open buildings and research development locations on Centennial Drive that I think we are underutilizing right now, that we need to take advantage of to get new businesses in there to help shift the tax burden from the homeowners, which make up 62% of the city revenues and property taxes, and try to generate some more new local revenue into the city. So, I mean, 62% of the city's revenue by property taxes, you can see that there's a majority of the revenue in the city coming from the homeowner. So we need to find different solutions to help ease the burden for the homeowners in the city to keep people happy and keep people living in the city of Peabody.
Thanks, Stephen. Go ahead, Ann.
Thank you. If you ask any city across the state if they have a revenue problem, they'll all say, yes, we have a revenue problem, because they want to generate more revenue. So Peabody, yes, we do have a revenue problem. We need to look at other options and avenues to generate new revenue. And I don't want to repeat some of the things that my colleagues here have said, so I'll go off in another avenue that we need to focus on. And do we have a spending problem? Yes, we do have a spending problem. We have salaries and benefits of any city in town. 85% of your budget is spent on salaries and benefits. And when decisions are made such as, and you have to keep your salary sustainable. 85% of your budget is on salaries and benefits, so it must be sustainable. You have to keep it on your salaries. You can't keep coming up with proposals that give an across-the-board automatic pay increase for department heads who are making 6 figures. That is not a sustainable automatic pay increase for 6 figures across the board in municipal government. That's not a sustainable proposition. And that is one thing that we've done recently. I voted against that.
Move on to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is one of the most challenging aspects of trying to manage the city, is the delicate balancing act between revenue and the budget. One of the problems is one of the major expenses, like Ann just mentioned, the benefits, the cost of health care continues to skyrocket. In the mid-90s, Mayor Theresian said that the cost of health care would bankrupt this city. He was onto something. He was ahead of his time. So there's only so much we can do on the local level until the bigger problem, not just locally but nationwide, is addressed. I know it's a burden to the taxpayers, but they understand that the city has to make the investments that perhaps we haven't made in the past. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I've been campaigning since March, so I've heard this question quite a bit from folks, voters out in the campaign trail. I think we have to look at this from 3 perspectives. I just went through a very difficult state government budget with the ABCC, and across the board, federal, state, and local are feeling the crunch right now. So one thing I will absolutely do is I'll work with our state delegation about what projects we can do through aid through the state. Higgins Middle School, a vast proportion of that was paid through the school building trust through the Mass State Treasury. That's something to keep in mind, that every project we want to work with others with the state level and possibly in the federal level on grants and whatnot to bring that to Peabody. The second thing is, if you look at Peabody regionally, we have a huge advantage. We have a number of business districts, whether it be downtown, the North Shore Mall, Route 1, 114, or Centennial Park. So we've got to increase our commercial tax base there and keep an eye on spending, because we have a lot of senior citizens right now who are making difficult choices based around staying in their homes or paying their real estate, their residential real estate tax. And I'm going to look out for them as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Reverend. Before we go on to the next one, we should acknowledge that Councilor David Gravel, who will be on the ballot, though was not able to be here tonight for this panel, but he will be on the ballot with his other candidates. And next question, we're going to go to Chris.
Good evening, candidates. The city has taken some significant steps in the past few years to generate more activity and interest in the downtown, and Mr. Gould has mentioned just a few of those. But in your opinion, is there more the city should be doing that maybe it's not doing right now?
This time we're going to start with Tom Rossigno. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for that question. Revitalizing downtown is kind of a priority, and it should be. Having a vibrant downtown is essential to any community. I know that the city currently holds 3 liquor licenses waiting for development specifically for downtown. I think that will improve downtown as a destination spot. We just spent millions of dollars to redo downtown to make it more pedestrian friendly. That's a step in the right direction. With the O'Shea building being purchased by Danisco and the revamp that they're doing, I think that's an important cornerstone to the beginning steps of revitalizing downtown. So we're making strides. They're slow, but they're definitely strides in the right direction to make sure that our downtown is vibrant the way we need it to be. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Russ.
Revitalizing downtown is a major issue. But you have to realize the city spent $6 million just recently in trying to revitalize the traffic flow down there. Downtown is private property. It's owned by private investors. It is not a local issue, it's a national issue with the economy. and how people trend to deal with their day-to-day buying. Right now, people are buying on the internet. They're not shopping locally. The mall is losing business, as we all realize. So downtown, it's up to the individual property owners. The city has already made major commitments to downtown and to help it revitalize. Now it's up to the Chamber of Commerce and the city to work to what they can do to revitalize downtown. The taxpayers have spent a lot of money already. So get some new ideas in there and go to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Steve.
Yes, I think the downtown area is actually one of the biggest areas of improvement for the city as a whole. I think right now there's a bunch of open storefronts that need to be filled. Mr. Rossigno mentioned that the downtown area has gotten more pedestrian friendly, which is true, but if you've walked downtown, there's really not many places for people to go. There's a couple cafes, there's a few different smaller restaurants, but I really think as a whole, Peabody needs to be working more with the Office of Community Development and Business Liaison to try to get more restaurants in there and more activity type locations for people to have a place to go to when they do want to walk downtown. Right now, especially in the month of October, a lot of people are going through downtown Peabody just to get to Salem, and there's no reason why Peabody can't be a destination spot for ourselves. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ann?
Thank you. I, for one, appreciate all the activity that has been going on downtown, and I think it's important for people to know. I know, Deanne, you came to the council meeting recently and gave a great presentation on all the things that are being done from the Downtown Committee, which is a 501c3. And that was important for people to know, because when I go out knocking and walking, a lot of people say, hey, these pop-up pubs are great, but who pays for that? So it's important that the taxpayers know that that is a privately funded volunteer group that does an awful lot of work. So that's just one thing. And there's a lot of little things that are being done to improve the downtown, because there has been a focus, an intense focus on revitalizing downtown. And we've purchased properties, and I think, though, now it's time to tap the brakes, take a look at all the changes and the things that we're hoping to implement, and let them take root, because I fear that if we continue to go in this frenzied pace, we're doing things and we're becoming things that we're not. We're not developers. We shouldn't be engaging in partnerships to develop property. We're not rental property owners, and we're leasing property downtown, and there's just so much activity, and I think we're delving into areas that is not our expertise. We should take a step back. I think we should tap the brakes, and let's see what these purchases and plans and vision bring forward in the next few years, because there's been a lot of expense, a lot of changes. Let's give the time to take root and see where to go from there. But we do need to tap the brakes. Thank you.
Go on, Peter. Thank you. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, downtown's a very important piece of the puzzle. I was a member of the Peabody Downtown Association, the organization that began the car show, brought back Nightmare on Main Street, and then the baton was handed off to Peabody Main Streets when that organization disbanded. I think an important part of the puzzle here is the proposed rail link that Representative Walsh had a study look into. Because if somebody could theoretically get from downtown Peabody to Boston, that could really open up a lot of eyes and opportunities for investors to want to spend money downtown, whether they be businesses or residential developers. Hopefully that'll be a part of the puzzle.
Thank you. Ryan.
Thank you very much. As somebody that lives downtown, I look at downtown not only as where the monument is or where City Hall is, I look at it as the Foster, Washington Street, Main Street, Lowell Street, Walnut Street corridors. And I think that, personally, I'm very bullish on where we could go with downtown. I think that the city has done a great job with these organic pop-up pubs, introducing people to downtown. They're seeing parking that they probably didn't know has been put in. They're seeing the infrastructure that's being invested in downtown to make it a place where people can do business. And I think that's the most important thing that we can do as a city to revitalize and push downtown. Let's put the infrastructure in place. We got to look at areas of increasing parking where people can pull in and park and not worry about where they're going to find a place to park. And after we do that, you will see capitalism do its work. because you're already seeing investment in downtown and new businesses coming down and restaurants. A brewery will be coming down, and I think the excitement is there, and we just got to keep that momentum going, and I look forward to being a part of that.
Thank you, Ryan. And come back to Tom.
Thank you, John. As Ryan said, there's a lot of activity. I've been involved in all the pop-up pubs. We've had probably 5 or 6, and that brings almost 600 to 700 people in each event downtown. Good things are happening, but it's our job as a council to be diligent in helping current business owners bring good tenants downtown. Not to get into the leasing business, as Councilor Manning said, but introductions and relationships. So far, we have Breaking Grounds, the coffee shop run by ARC. We have the Mover Brothers Deli to come back downtown. Excuse me. We have the Black Box Theater ready to break walls this Thursday. We have a brewery coming. We have Strike One, Spare Time restaurant right over here at Metro Bowl. So there's a lot of good things going, and I really believe the activity will pay fruits very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Deanne has the next question.
Great. Well, in addition to downtown, we have Route 1 and Centennial Park are commonly pointed to as major areas for redevelopment and growth. What sort of projects do you want to see in those areas?
Thank you. And this time we're going to start with Russ.
Route 1 is a embarrassment as far as Peabody goes. If you look north or you look south on Route 1, Saugus is developing like crazy. Peabody, what do we get? We get a trash transfer station. I mean, what can we do? We can invest and ask businesses to come to Route 1. Right now, before the City Council, there's a proposal for a medical marijuana zoning, and the city passed that. So it's up to the city to give the vehicle of zoning and let businesses come to the city and build. Right now, it's kind of a disappointment with Route 1, with what we're getting, for what we're attracting. And we do have a community development department. We're spending millions of dollars in salaries. What are they doing for us? That's the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
I think with that question, I definitely think Route 1, I would agree, needs some improvements, but there definitely are plenty of businesses on Route 1 right now that are generating revenue for the city. I think the bigger issue with that question is Centennial Drive or Centennial Park. As I said in my first answer, there's 7 different buildings and open office spaces that are available for research development, science and technology businesses to come in. And I definitely think it would be an improvement not only just for the city, for more science and technology businesses to come in to generate jobs within the city, but that ties into the education program too, where you can do some co-ops with students, getting more experience in science and technology. So I think we definitely need to be focusing on Centennial Drive, perhaps hosting a business summit of some sort to entice some new businesses to come in. In the technological world right now, there's many startups, and it's a great place for people to come and start a business in Centennial Park. It's right off the highway, there's plenty of parking, and there's plenty of space available for new businesses to come in and help generate revenue for themselves and for the city. So, thank you.
Thank you. With respect to Route 1, over the years, I served with Jim Liakis, and he had said something in my early years on the council that really resonated with me, and I've been trying to stick to that. He said, why do we have to settle for all used car lots on Route 1? Because is that the only business that's going to come there? And so if you don't raise the bar, that's all you're going to get. So over the years, you know, you follow your special permit. For the folks that don't know, there's a whole list of criteria you have to meet in order to get a special permit. And if the petitioner doesn't meet a desirable local need, if they don't meet that criteria, you don't have to give them the special permit. So when I see Route 1 with 40, 30, how many used car lots? They're unattractive. They've got the gaudy flags flapping out and the big creature blowing in the wind. That doesn't meet a desirable local need. And we have the authority as a city council to say no. You cannot open one up. And we have made improvements over the years because we've had really crisp, clean, newer, really actually fancy newer used car lots open up and other businesses open up, because we've said, no, we don't want we don't want your business. We don't have to give it to you with a special permit authority, and we can raise the bar by saying no to businesses that we don't want. And that's how you do it. You raise the bar. Thank you.
Peter.
Like Mr. Collins mentioned earlier, there's definitely more opportunity in the industrial park because there's not a lot of really open space, for lack of a better term, on Route 1. And it's kind of like the forgotten road in the city. We had a donut shop that was open right down the street from our mobile home park, and that didn't even succeed. The Danvers Crossing Plaza, where the proposed registry location was going to go in, a lot of times that looks like a ghost town. So I think there needs to be more done in the way of marketing Route 1 as a destination if you really want to bring people there to shop or do business or what have you, because folks kind of forget it's there and just kind of drive by, sort of like what they do downtown to go to Salem.
Thank you, Peter. Ryan.
Thank you. I think Route 1 and Centennial Park are a great opportunity for the city of Peabody to bring in revenue outside of the city of Peabody. The access that Route 1 gives the North Shore up and down all the way to from Revere all the way up to as far through Danvers gives residents of those communities an opportunity to come to Peabody easily and spend their money. I would agree with Councilor Manning that other than used car lots is not the best use of those locations. I think if you look at the success of Red, Santapio's, you had Green Tea just got redone, and other businesses are going in along with some business locations for startup companies and whatnot. Now, when it comes to Centennial Park, I think that's another opportunity, bringing companies that are not organic to Peabody to be part of our commercial tax base. And I think it's so important for us to look at that area as a place that we want to connect not only with the rest of the North Shore, but the greater Boston area. And we have the commuter rail in Salem, and a way of doing that is, which has been talked about in the past, is having a shuttle bus maybe from the commuter rail in Salem to Centennial Park to allow those businesses access to a bigger workforce, which is exactly what we need in that area.
Thank you, Ryan. Back here to Tom.
Thank you. I couldn't agree more with Councilor Manning about raising the bar on Route 1. Route 1 really needs a facelift, if I've ever seen a place that needs a facelift. It is in dire need of improvement. Centennial Park, on the other hand, I believe could be the biotech center. It could be an incubator startup area for the entire North Shore. Boston is eventually going to run out of space. Kendall Square in Cambridge is hot, 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 but they're going to run out of space eventually, and we should be looking at attracting businesses to come and work with them on developing a small biotech center right here in the Centennial Park in Peabody. Thank you.
Thank you. A little history lesson. When Mayor Turigian was the mayor, he had a great idea to build Centennial Park along with the mayor prior to him. Right now, there's a Centennial Park, an office park, up and down Route 1, all over the place. I think one of the biggest problems with Centennial Park, to be honest with you, is some of the rates that some of the businesses charge for businesses to go there. What I think as a board, the council should do is work with community development, work on some tax initiatives for those landowners to really bring in the best clienteles for Centennial Park. As far as Route 1 goes, that's constantly going to be in flux. I know there's already development where Martino's was. There's already another development going on there. I agree with both Mr. Gould and Ms. Martin. We can't just keep throwing in used car lots. We have to really think of the best and brightest for those locations.
Thank you, Tom. All right, going back to Robin for the next question.
How would you respond to criticism that permitting in Peabody is cumbersome and hampers investment properties?
Thank you. This time we're going to start with Stephen.
I think that permitting in Peabody should be a streamlined and easy process for anybody coming into the city, looking to invest in the city. I think it's very vital for us in order to bring in new revenue so that people aren't dissuaded from coming here and bringing in businesses or investing into the city, because I think it's a twofold process, both for them and for us. So I think we need to work with current investors and people looking to invest into the city to see how the process is going and to see if there's anything we can do to make the process easier. Because I definitely think that there's a lot of area for the improvement in the city and to bringing in new revenue. Thank you.
Thank you. I haven't heard that complaint recently. I had heard that over the years, but I know that we've made improvements in the building inspector's office and have streamlined some things. And I also, so I don't hear that often, so I think we have made major improvements. And I used to hear as well that the city council was anti-business, and I don't hear that complaint much either. So I think that the citizens have put counselors on there that are able to balance business and quality of life issues, and I think the council has been doing a great job over the last few years that we have shed that moniker of being anti-business, and we've made improvements, and I think the city is moving forward in that regard. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I really hadn't heard that complaint from anybody that's been campaigning, but it was kind of defeat the purpose. You know, we're talking about bringing more businesses to Peabody and to increase revenue. Why would we want to stonewall them with all kinds of requirements that they really don't want to meet? The one thing I would say is that we want to make sure that developers stay true to their word and not present one plan to the city or the city council, and then at the last minute decide that they want to do something different that the city may not like. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. As a regulator, as somebody that deals in licensing and permitting on a daily basis throughout the Commonwealth, I can tell you nothing stifles business worse than even the reputation as a place that you do not want to do business in. And I think it's vital that any elected official within the city of Peabody have an open ear to any ideas, as long as they fall within the zoning of that area. I think the special permitting the special permitting power of the city council is a really unique power. And I want all the constituents and voters at home to understand that if I'm elected, I will hear you out with regard to development. And I'm not saying I will always agree with you, but I will hear you out, because I think it's so important to our tax base that we are at least seen as a place that we will listen to you, we will hear your ideas for development in the city, and we are open for business. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Robin, I hate to disagree with you, but I think that's old news. I really do. I think that we have turned that corner a couple of years ago, and I'm not highlighting you in particular, but we turned that corner. It is a very user-friendly office. Commissioner Tallarico has made it a edict that we will be user-friendly, walk everybody through the permit process, and that goes along with Mayor Bentoncourt's part of his institution as he took over. So that's old news. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to agree with Mr. Gould. I think that was a strong sentiment in the past. I do think it's gotten better, but there's always room for improvement. Just to rest on the laurels that it's better than it was, to me, I don't agree. I think you can always improve. One of the things that they can improve on is making things a little bit more online, including in improving the infrastructure for technology. One of the things that both on the school side, being on the school board for 8 years, as well as I see in city government, there's nothing, we have an antiquated infrastructure. We need to be more proactive as far as how we do things online and with technology. So I think that would improve the process even further. Thank you.
Russ?
I agree with Councilor Gould and Councilor Manning. That's misconception. Excessive permitting, deliberate permitting is not excessive. Any development is not always good development. That's why we have a permitting process, to make sure we can select the right development in this city, not any development for the almighty dollar. Quality of life is a major issue, and in Peabody, the We have a professional community development staff, and they look over those details, so I don't think it's excessive development permitting. It's necessary permitting. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. All right, and Chris has the next question.
Peabody is home to a mix of arts and cultural organizations. What are your ideas about how the creative community can drive economic development in the city?
And so we're going to start with Ann now.
Thank you. Yes, I think that the Black Box Theater idea and things of that nature are great. They'll draw people downtown, and it's very creative for folks that otherwise would be going over to Beverly or North Shore Theater or other cities and towns that have an active arts, cultural activities. So I know that the city is actively focusing on that. I think it's a great idea, and I support it 100%. It's something that we have not tapped into before, and it is one of those good ideas. You know, not every idea is a good idea, but this one is one of those good ideas. It's positive and it attracts all sorts of people to come downtown and spend some money and have a good time. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to mention the Black Box Theater as well. That certainly got the ball rolling when it comes to the art community. Something else I'd like to see is perhaps a museum about the city's tannery history. I'm pretty sure there's some folks that know that we're the city of the tanners, the Peabody tanners, but aren't exactly sure what that means. We were once the world's largest producer of leather, and that's a tradition we should honor with maybe a museum someplace, maybe on Route 1.
Thanks, Peter. Ryan.
One thing I'd like to see is more live music in Peabody. I think if you were to talk to brokers and people in the hospitality industry, we do have a number of hotels in Peabody, they would tell you that what's helped Salem, Beverly, other communities, Cambridge, Davis Square, and Somerville, they would tell you that having events and things to go down to was very successful. The Pop-Up Pub had live music, and that got a really good crowd. I think also we do have a number of museums in Peabody. I don't know if everybody knows about them, and I think that that's something we can take advantage of. The arts, if you look at any development in the Commonwealth right now that's excelled, you will see it surrounded itself with hospitality and tourism and the arts. And I think if we can harness both of those industries, we can see ourselves being very successful down the road. And I look forward to being a part of it.
Thank you. Tom?
Thank you. As chair of the Black Box Theater, I am so enthused about what it's going to do to our downtown. As my colleague Tom Walsh has stated over and over, for every person that comes into downtown, statistically, they bring and spend $24.95 every time they come downtown. That in itself is going to generate all kinds of revenue for us. We're ready to break walls this Thursday morning at the Black Box, and we should be up and running by February or March. And I think that the booking of that will just surprise everybody. There's going to be nonstop groups that want to come in to the Black Box Theater. I'm still cold from the ice bar that we had in January, where we had 700 to 800 people downtown, but that is cultural. That brings people downtown, and that's just what we need. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the Black Box is a great first step. You look at any other surrounding community, they have a vibrant community theater, whether it's Marblehead, Salem, Danvers, Beverly. I think that's vital. It's vital to downtown, it's vital to the arts, it's vital to our community. You look at the high school, we have an amazing drama department. We have an amazing chorale that all of us have seen at a number of presentations. I think that needs to be tapped in more and brought downtown. The pop-up pub that they had recently that they blocked off the street right here, I thought was a great idea as far as live music goes, as Mr. Melville had mentioned. Anything that we can do to bring people downtown through the arts, I'm all for 110%. And just to comment briefly on one comment that another candidate made, we actually already do have a leather museum. It's on Washington Street. Thank you.
Russ?
Well, I surely supports the arts and the downtown development. I would like to make a comment. Perhaps the excessive permitting on the city council, as you know, a lot of businesses have to go before the council for a live entertainment license. Perhaps that's an excessive point there that maybe we could curtail that a little bit. But I obviously will support any creative arts projects that might come before the city council. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen?
I also think the Black Box Theater is another good addition to the arts and culture in the city. I think being able to get different improv groups or different acting groups in there can definitely bring a lot of people downtown. I do think it goes hand in hand. We're continuing to revitalize downtown as more people come for the reasons of art and culture, whether it be the Black Box Theater or open Shakespeare in the outdoors. I know they do that in Boston. It's very popular to do it. At the Leather City Commons, continuing to bring different musical groups there to get people downtown. And I also do think as well we need to continue with the food fests and the pop-up pubs. I think that's another really good aspect and a cultural aspect to getting people out and about in the city. And I think as someone that went to the Pizza Fest, I think that was a really big hit, and we need to continue doing things like that and also showing off a little of the local businesses to people coming into the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move to Deanne for the next question.
All right. In your opinion, what is the single biggest issue facing Peabody in the next 3 years?
Thank you. And we're going to start Peter this time.
Well, that's kind of like a double-edged sword you're asking me, because in my opinion, it's controlling the traffic problem and trying to get more public transportation into the city. But as we mentioned, it's a more important issue than that is making sure we keep the tax rate stable, trying to get them under control, and maybe looking at some of the items in the budget that haven't been taken a look at for a while. But I would love to see the traffic situation addressed with a bigger picture of bringing public transportation to the city.
Thank you. Ryan?
Well, since you put a timeline on it in the next 3 years, I would say infrastructure. The city of Peabody has purchased a couple of properties. It is also has to maintain what we already have in our school system. I think that a priority of work, use an Army term, priority of work has to go to maintaining what we currently have. I think if we look at the Healey School, which is going to need, if the upgrades are ever going to occur, it's going to need significant investment. Obviously, the high school has its own challenges with what it is. And if you go further down to downtown, some of the other properties that have been purchased outside of the school system that the city owns. I think we have to look at that as that is something that the city has to own, maintain, and keep viable for future use within the city. So if we're going to go 3 years out, I would say that we have to maintain our infrastructure in the buildings that we currently own. As you see here, we're in City Hall, which is going to be up, there's going to be some fixes made, but clearly the city is increasing its investment in real estate, and we've got to be able to maintain all of the properties that we currently are responsible for. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
Thank you. I agree with Mr. Melville. It's all about facilities, as far as I'm concerned, and infrastructure. We are in dire need of upgrade on some of our schools. As school committee woman Beverly Griffin Dunn has always stated, it's all about preparing ourselves and the schools for the future so that we can educate our kids. She did a wonderful job getting the Higgins built, and I really believe we need to take care of our facilities going forward. I didn't do that just to give Beverly a plug, but she's always led us in that facilities end of things. And it's all about infrastructure and facilities, I think, for the next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
Thank you. To me, it's three different things, and all three of them are a priority. Development, infrastructure, quality of life. And they all kind of go hand in hand. We have to slow down some development projects, like the one that they're trying to put at the Elks Hall. We have to make sure that they do a good job with development projects, like the one that they're doing off of Birch Street. Infrastructure is always a key. We do have older buildings, but if they're maintained, they can be a jewel and not a burden. So infrastructure is vital. I already mentioned before technology. Not only do you have to maintain your buildings, but you have to maintain how you service our community and our residents, both in the schools as well as in the city. And last, by hitting on both of those 2 points, that ensures a strong quality of life for every Peabody resident.
Thank you. Russ?
Well, the number one issue is complex, but it's simple. It's taxes and city spending. One goes with the other. If the city keeps on spending, they're going to tax the homeowner out of business, really. How we tax properties in the city has a major impact on the homeowner. Businesses have been getting away fairly easily over the last few years because their values have not gone up, where the homeowners' values have gone up 30% or 40%. Back in 2007, when we hit a high level just before the bubble burst, homeowners have not gone back up to that level yet, but our taxes have gone up 40% since then. So taxes are the number one issue, and it can be controlled by city spending and modernizing the city government. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen?
Yes, so as I said earlier, I do also agree. I think for the next 3 years, I think the single biggest issue is the rising tax rate. From 2009, property taxes for residents have gone up 31.5%. And I think coupled with the fact of the rising tax rates is building our commercial tax base. We need to be bringing in new businesses into the city, developing the areas that we've been discussing in Centennial Park, in downtown, and even the North Shore Mall. The North Shore Mall is our biggest commercial tax asset in the city, and I'm a little concerned that we're going to be losing it as businesses continue to get out of there. I know there's new restaurants coming in there, but we need to make sure to keep working with the North Shore Mall to get new businesses into those empty storefronts to continue to keep it a vital tax asset in the city to help with our property taxes and our residential tax base. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ann?
Thank you. Yes, I will stick to the question, which is the single biggest issue within the next 3 years. And I believe that that is supporting our schools, the superintendent, and the school committee in getting the high school off of level 3 status. The students deserve it, the teachers deserve it, the taxpayers deserve it, and I think that that should be our main focus collectively as a community for the next 3 years. And I know that we can do it. We just have to work together in order to do that and give the schools the support that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Time for another question. Okay. Why don't we, so here's what we're going to do now. We're going to take, I think, 2 minutes each and let you guys kind of give a closing statement. And since we didn't get to Ryan yet to start off, we're going to start with Ryan. So, like I said, take a couple minutes, give a closing statement.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody here for tonight for the opportunity. And for those watching at home, my name again is Ryan Melville. And I hope on November 7th, I can earn one of your 5 votes for Councilor-At-Large. One priority I didn't bring up tonight was that I am a veteran, and people don't realize this, but outside of the VA, the local veteran services is the most important thing that every veteran can rely on, and the main source of benefits and information to support them as veterans. So as a city councilor, if elected, that will be one of my main priorities. I think really what I'm asking the voters is for an opportunity to serve again. When I got out of the military, something was missing. And I have benefited so much by all of those that have come before us in serving this city. And they've given me great opportunities. And I remember Mike Bonafonte said it when he was leaving. He said he was a steward. And all I'm asking for is to be part of that tradition. I want to take the baton from some of the outgoing councilors and bring a fresh perspective to the council. And I just would ask that voters consider me and give me one of their 5 votes on November 7th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. I remember sitting here 6 years ago, almost to the day, at a debate for the Councilor-At-Large race in 2011. And, you know, I was honored to be elected, and my goal is to help someone every single day. It's all about helping people. We can do that, whether it's sidewalks, trees, plowing, paving, but the calls come in all the time about those very simple issues. But to the folks that have those issues, you have to know how to cut through and get it done for them. I've spent my whole adult life volunteering to help people, and I want to please have me continue doing it. I'd be honored to be reelected as your city councilor. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. First, I'd just like to say thank you again for having this forum. I appreciate all of your time. My name is Tom Rossigno, and I humbly ask for one of your 5 votes for Councilor-At-Large. I, just like the other Tom sitting up here, spent my entire adult life giving back, not because I had to, but because I want to. My profession is in physical therapy. I go to people's homes and I try to help them get better. That's my profession. In my life, since my kids were little, I've always tried to do A, what's right, and B, what's best for them as well as for the city that I love. I'm 4th generation Peabody. I've grown up here. I chose to move here with my wife and my children because this is, to me, the best place on earth. It is the melting pot of all melting pots as far as diversity. It is absolutely a gem on the North Shore, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Russ?
I'm Russell Donovan. I'm number 1 on the ballot. What is not represented up here are the senior citizens of Peabody. As a senior citizen in Peabody, as a retiree, I know, as you do, the cost of living in Peabody and the cost to support a family. I ask for one of your 5 votes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Russ. Stephen?
So again, my name is Stephen Collins. I'm the youngest candidate up here, but I do think that's also an advantage for me. I think I would bring a young and fresh perspective and different ideas to the council. I've also been involved in a lot of different aspects of Peabody, and I've always been someone that's been in leadership roles and has always just had a passion about helping people the best that I can, and that's really why I decided to run for city council. I just enjoy making people's lives every single day better, and I view this as an opportunity to do so on a grand scale. I care very much about the city of Peabody, and I care even more about the people in it. The oldest of 6 children to 2 hardworking parents, and I just want to continue to do what I can to make this city a place that we're proud to call home. So thank you very much, and on November 7th I will be looking for one of your 5 votes, and I'd appreciate the consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Ann Manning Martin, and I'm a 5th generation, 5 generations of Peabodyites, and my husband Jack is from Charlestown, so I had a townie move to Peabody because he knows after 5 generations I'm not going anywhere. So I've been working for the city of Peabody for 18 years in different capacities, and I've enjoyed very much serving the city as a councilor-at-large. I always do my homework. I'm not afraid to ask the tough questions. And I'm an independent voice on the council, and I like to represent my constituents. The senior citizens I hear from, they're 4th, 5th, 6th generation Peabodyites themselves, and they want to stay in their homes. So I do that they grew up in or that they own, and they want to be able to afford their property taxes. So I do represent senior citizens. I do represent young people, but I do have to say I really, really am enthusiastic about the younger candidates coming up and throwing their hat in the ring, because it is great to see, and we were all once in your shoes going for running for office for the first time, and I encourage you to continue doing it, and I really am thankful that you're running. It's great to see young people looking to get involved in the political process. My name is Ann Manning Martin. I'm asking you to consider me for one of your 5 votes for Councilor-at-Large. I'm number 3 on the ballot. Thank you.
Again, my name is Peter Bakula. I'm also a 4th generation Peabody resident, lifelong resident. And even though I've lived here all my life, over the course of the campaign, I've discovered that this city is much larger than I ever imagined. I would always want to be the voice of the people and keep the voters' best interest in mind for anything that comes in front of the council. And I respectfully ask for one of your 5 votes on November 7th. You'll find me at number 6 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. And again, I just want to mention that Dave Gravel will also be on the ballot, but he wasn't able to be here tonight. And we also want to thank our panelists, Robin, Chris, and Deanne for being here. Again, it was our pleasure at Salem News to do this with the Chamber and Peabody Access, and hope everyone has a great evening. Thank you.